Thank you, Madam Vice President, Your Excellencies, distinguished guests and representatives of Indigenous people. It's a real pleasure to open this panel. Today's discussion, I hope, will be above all about opportunities. Opportunities to work together to ensure a fair and inclusive transition. Opportunities that, when paired with action based on human rights, can yield benefits across borders and generations. Indigenous peoples' knowledges, culture, and practice have enriched humanity for millennia. Today, they can help us tackle our most pressing crises. Indigenous peoples improve healthcare with traditional approaches, they preserve biodiversity, they lead reconciliation efforts, they strengthen food security, and they keep alive more than 4,000 languages. And yet, their ancestral lands are stolen and misused. Their languages and cultures are endangered, suppressed, or even criminalized. Many, especially women, often live in poverty and fear, deprived of education, healthcare, and justice. Violence against Indigenous rights defenders remains widespread. Climate change has compounded all of these challenges. Indigenous peoples are already enduring the consequences of the unchecked extraction of fossil fuels. Now they are at risk of further harms if they are sidelined during the transition to renewable energy. Although urgent and necessary, this transition cannot come at their expense. Instead, with more than half of critical minerals located on or near Indigenous territories, they should be at the center of it. Your Excellencies, dear guests, I see three key areas of action that can help us turn risks into opportunities. First, rights must come before resources. In every extractive project and across the entire value chain, justice and human rights must take precedence, with free, prior, and informed consent upheld without exception. National policies must mandate human rights impact assessments, strict regulations, land protection, access to justice, and the meaningful participation of Indigenous peoples. Human rights defenders must be safe to raise concerns, and peoples in voluntary isolation must have their way of life respected. The United Nations Declaration on the Rights of Indigenous People, the UN Guiding Principles on Business and Human Rights, and the recommendations of the UN Secretary-General's Panel on Critical Energy Transition Minerals all provide robust guardrails to ensure Indigenous peoples' rights. We welcome progress in Botswana, Colombia, Denmark, Finland, and Guatemala, among others. Governments are indeed taking various steps to engage with Indigenous people, from recognizing their autonomy and protecting their lands to acknowledging past injustices. Australia, Canada, Chile, and New Zealand are embedding consultation and shared decision-making into energy projects. Our office continues to advocate for a rights-based transition, supporting the participation of Indigenous people, building capacity through our Indigenous Fellowship Program, and working with governments to design just energy transition policies. Excellencies, the second area of opportunity is Indigenous knowledge. It can help restore that elusive balance between nature and people. From combating deforestation in the Amazon and reducing wildfire risks in Australia to promoting renewable energy in the Arctic, Indigenous people have pioneered practices rooted in respect for nature and future generations. I want to recognize Indigenous women who play a special role in preserving and transmitting this knowledge. International platforms such as the UN Climate, Biodiversity and Desertification Conferences and the Global Environment Facility have long supported the participation of Indigenous peoples and recognized their contributions. Earlier this year, the Inter-American Court of Human Rights reaffirmed states' duties to respect Indigenous knowledge in protecting ecosystems. This council itself has a very strong record of collaboration, and we encourage all relevant stakeholders to follow these examples. We also call for the upcoming COP30 climate talks in Brazil to pay due attention to the human rights dimension of a just transition, including through engagement with Indigenous people. My third and last point is partnerships pointing the way forward. Collective action is power. We must not only draw the path together, we must walk it together. We must actively seek partnerships between indigenous peoples, governments, business, civil society, and financial institutions. We have to develop standards for benefit sharing that are fair, concrete, and backed by robust monitoring. Indigenous people must share in the benefits of these transitions. This vision is already materializing in Canada, Colombia, New Zealand, and beyond. Co-ownership and co-development models are bringing gains that span many years and many areas. I call on states to establish open communication channels with Indigenous people, and I call on corporations to put people and planet before profit. My office stands ready to help facilitate this dialogue. We did so recently in Asia-Pacific region, where our human rights dialogue on climate and just transition brought together human rights defenders, Indigenous people, representatives of the United Nations, regional organizations, and civil society members. Your Excellencies, again, dear guests, a truly sustainable future can never be built on inequality. We cannot tackle the triple planetary crisis without Indigenous people. Now is the time to think and act long-term in our own collective self-interest, to consider diverse perspectives, and to meaningfully include Indigenous people as we seek solutions. By prioritizing their rights, harnessing their knowledge, and building partnerships, we can make the energy transition a just one. I believe the opportunity is before us. Let us seize it before it is too late. Thank you very much.